Our next conversation is going to be about, we've talked about how to build your wealth. Let's now talk about how to actually secure your wealth and think about financial freedom. Can you use life insurance as a tool for financial freedom? Some will say yes. Some would ask, whose financial freedom?
Whose insurance?
And why do I need financial freedom?
Why do I need financial freedom?
Whose life?
Whose life?
In Kenya, I have a constitution that sets me free.
Yes.
It's banking in the constitution.
Wow.
It's insurance in the constitution.
Where?
So.
Kanyingi Kagucia is the Chief Distribution Officer at Jubilee Life Insurance. He's our next guest. Kanyingi, good morning.
Morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
At the Chief Distribution Officer.
Yes.
You're distributing what, life or insurance? Or both?
Solutions.
Solutions.
Like the engineers.
Yeah, we're distributing solutions.
Yeah.
So we talk about life insurance and we'll be jumping right into it. Under Jubilee Life Insurance, which is a subsidiary of Jubilee Holdings, we provide insurance and investment solutions. So we like to think about providing solutions that are partnering with people throughout the journey of life, and we'll be jumping into that as we get into the details.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's because when you saw your title, we were like, all right, so people now have different titles. Yesterday we were talking about CXO. Who's a CXO? But you know?
CXO, that would be a Chief Experience Officer, I would think.
Right.
CX is customer
It's a thing,
experience. So
There you
Chief
go.
Customer Experience.
Hey. Yeah, only a chief distribution officer
Who would know this?
And by the way, when we talk about distribution, so the teams I lead are those that would go out into the markets and provide these solutions. I consider myself to be their KYM. So I work for the teams that distribute life insurance.
Is there a different team for sales?
That's a sales team.
KYM.
KYM.
The
Okay.
KYM is this gentleman sitting here.
What's KYM?
It's the KYM.
Okay.
KYM.
Yeah.
In French, it's Kadayamoko. The guy who gets sent about around.
Kanyingi Yamoko.
Mtu wa mkono.
I'm still as lost as I was 3 minutes ago. Mtu ya mkono.
It's Kanyingi ya Maisha. Siti, please welcome him with the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for this week are from the kingdom of... Okay. It was formerly called Swaziland, this kingdom.
Yeah.
What is it called now?
Eswatini.
See?
Yeah, only a distribution officer would know.
Well, you know they have offices in Eswatini.
Yeah.
Always taking out and never putting in soon reaches the bottom.
Always taking out, never putting in, soon reaches the bottom. Someone was like, this one must have come from the king of Eswatini
Himself.
What's the interpretation of this proverb?
So it's interesting that we start with proverbs. In my company, they call me the proverbs guy because I'm always starting with a proverb. But always taking out and never putting in, so reaches the bottom. It's basically what we'll be talking about today. There must be a supply for there to be a deduction. So if you're always deducting, you will definitely get to the bottom, and when you put your hand in again to remove, there'll be nothing there. So the cookie jar must be filled
Constantly.
Somebody has to be baking.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you something. See there, you're very well dressed. Christmas is coming, and your family and friends are looking up to you to dress like this on Christmas Day. Now, don't fret. Between today and the 2nd, if you go to Woolworths, any of the stores at Woolworths, you will get something. And this is City. Give it again.
Well, the thing is this. Every time people think of Christmas, they think of gifting. If you are younger, you are in that category of human being called child, you think of receiving. Now, that adult who makes this possible can make it even better, because Woolworths is saying, if you come to us, started yesterday, tomorrow, until, is it 2nd or 3rd? 2nd of December. Even crossing into a new month. Every 3 things that you buy. 3? Some people say 3 like this. 3, 1, free. Free meaning you don't pay for it. And don't get clever and say, they've included the price of the third one and the other two. Actually, no. You can actually check. And they're saying the opportunity for you to provide for your family and friends and for yourself is a point. That's why it's called a Black Friday. But that Friday is not one day. It's a period that is now being called Black Friday, but it's a period where things actually come to you at a much reduced price. Woolworths.
Good, eh? Ndio. Okay. What's life insurance?
So, allow me to start off by and I carried a bit of notes here, just talking about insurance in general.
Okay.
And I looked for a definition that would resonate without us going into too much. We are accused of having too much jargon. So you want to define insurance as a financial safety net that protects you from unexpected losses or risks. So when you come to life insurance, it's about protection. So as we walk through the journey of life and as we provide solutions that will carry you with whatever it is that you're doing, there's an aspect that considers the unexpected. What if something happened to me? Do my dreams get carried forward? Can I still achieve the goals that I have for myself and my loved ones if I'm not there? And that's why that aspect of life is there, life insurance. So it's a safety net, yes, but it anticipates that there could be that situation that could then derail you if you don't have a plan in place.
So the beneficiary of a life insurance is not the person who took out the insurance?
It's everyone, including the person who took out the insurance. So how the solutions are designed is there are those that will pay out should there be an event, but should that event not occur, we have solutions that would allow you to have a return to yourself, so you can save towards a goal. So here's the thing. If I'm saving in a bank or in another vehicle, I have to continue putting in money and then hope that at some point I can redeem that money. But when you come to life insurance, you do the same, only that there's a safety net. You continue putting in the money. But should something happen, we can give some guarantees that when that event comes, we can make a payout to your loved one. So yes, if you pass on, in the unfortunate circumstance that you pass on, which all of us must at some point, then that money is paid out to your beneficiaries. But should you be still alive, there are solutions that would give you back money to do the things that you anticipate to do in life.
So life insurance is insuring against what exactly?
That topic that we do not like to talk about.
Health insurance is in the event of sickness, and then it comes in. Even if you talk about any crop insurance and all these other products that come up, life insurance is insuring against?
So it's insuring against the event of death. But
you will die.
But you will die anyway.
Yes. So should that death come in and interrupt your plans, then you have a safety net. But let me also break it down like this. So you've got life insurance. As a company, we provide solutions around retirement. And we also provide solutions around investments.
Okay.
What makes it life insurance then is there are plans that help you meet your goals. But should there be any event, death in this case, then you can be sure that your goals would be achieved because you have that safety net. Shall we die? Yes, we shall. Do we know when?
No.
Should we not plan because we don't know when? We continue to plan, we continue to dream, we continue to aspire, and we continue to do the things that are within our control. When that time comes, which is beyond our control, do we have a safety net that can make sure that these dreams are achieved in our absence?
So now this is all based on the principle of putting a little bit away, putting in a little bit over a period of time so that it can accumulate. How does that work?
So, and as I answer that question, allow me to just refer to the topic that you offered for this discussion. I talk about using life insurance as a tool for financial freedom. And I went looking, and it's interesting that you were asking this question of you, Kevin. What is financial freedom? What is this thing that we're referring to? And I'll read out to you some of the definitions. So it says here, financial freedom is the ability of an individual to live a life free from financial worries, constraints, or limitations. Another one says it means having enough money to live the way you want without depending on a job. It means being able to pursue your passions, making your own choices, and enjoy life on your own terms. So how does it work? When you put in money, that is called the premium, over a period of time, there is what is called the power of compounding. So that money is invested by the company into investment vehicles that allow us to give you a return depending on the agreement that we have, what the contract says, depending on the time that you've saved for, the goal that you are saving for, the quantities that you are saving for in terms of money. That premium then keeps growing, and we're able to put it together with other premiums from others into investment vehicles that we can then give you a return when that time comes. And it's about having the saving culture. And then that's a good discussion for us here today. That taking out without putting in has a consequence. So it's about that putting in. How do you put in? And there are various ways of putting in. What we offer in life insurance is a tool towards that, not the only tool. We will go out and do many things with our money. We will save in banks. We are going to go into the circles. We'll go into money market funds. You talked about the banking discussion with the team that was here before. Insurance, life insurance provides a tool that can help you plan for that time and goal that you have in mind.
That you have.
Yes.
How do you know what to take? How do you know that, okay, so sure, maybe something's going to happen in the future. I want to be able to provide for folks who are coming behind me or folks that I support. How do you know what to do?
Glad you asked that question. So let's, and you'll help me answer this question. Let's do a collective think here. We talk about seasons of life, and I consider that we use that word seasons in two ways. You talk about the seasons of life when you talk about the ups and downs of life. I have happy days, I have low days. But we also talk about the seasons of life when you consider life as a continuum. I was born, I will die. But a lot of stuff is going to take place in between. So this is what we're going to do together. And we have what we call, when we're teaching financial concepts, we have what we call the 28,000 day concept. It works out to about 76.71 years. How long on average someone would live? So
28,000?
Days concept, 28,000 days concept.
Okay.
And this is what we're going to do. And I have a diagram here that's cuts it into quadrants. We're going to do a 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, and 60 to 80. So what were you doing between the ages of 0 and 20? To answer your question, how do you know what to do when?
Education.
You were studying.
Yeah.
You were playing. You were eating.
You were
0 to 20. You were growing.
Yeah.
You were experiencing. You were discovering. You were becoming. That's a season. Then between 20 and 40, what are we doing? We're buying a first car, possibly getting our first house.
Building a career.
Building a career.
Starting a family.
Starting a family. Exerting ourselves more. And then sharing our ideas. Then 40 to 60, maybe a second
Life
house.
begins.
They say life begins at 40. Or is it 50 nowadays? Yeah. That's another season. And then you go into the 60s and the 80s and above. What this paints is a picture of, in your earlier years, doing what we call accumulation of wealth.
Which ones? 0 to 20?
Now, coming from 20 to 40.
Okay.
Thereabout, you're accumulating. You're doing things, you're building a career, bringing together resources that you want to do things with. Then you've got a period after 40, say to 60, where you are doing consolidation. So you're saying, I've been out there, I've been hunting, I've collected this and that and the other. I need to organize it in a way that makes sense for where I'm headed, because there's another season coming that is called deaccumulation. I accumulated, I consolidated, and now I'm deaccumulating. Deaccumulation is an interesting concept, because then what happens is you were accumulating when you were making money. You had the ability. Then you accelerated into consolidation. You still had the ability. Your career became more pronounced. You had more tools at your disposal. Then you go into deaccumulation, where possibly you've retired. You now don't have that steady income. Or maybe you had built one. So to answer your question, how do you know what to pick where? That continuum dictates for you. What are your aspirations. What is it you want to experience in life? What are the things that you want for your loved ones? Based on that, and based on where you are in your life, then you can pick a solution that covers you. It could be an education plan when you go into your 40s, because you have kids, you're building a career, family, you want to save towards the education of your children. It could be that you're saving towards that house that you're building for. But then when you go into that deaccumulation stage, then you're talking about, had I planned for my retirement? Have I put in place life insurance solutions that will cover me for that time in my life?
Our guest is Kanyingi Kagucia. He's the Chief Distribution Officer, Jubilee Life Insurance. We're talking about insurance. Can life insurance be a tool for financial freedom? And if so, then how? Financial freedom is what everybody's looking for. Okay. And very many of the comments that are coming in, people like my take and others are saying, "Where, Banas, you first of all tell us about the basics. Things about bank, now you're telling us insurance." Surely, I'm sure whenever you're going to tell people about, take up an insurance product, they tell you, nimeshiba, how many insurance nakupatia? What's your answer to that?
We're living in an especially tough time economically when those questions keep coming up. The thing to remember is that it's, my CEO likes to say, Kukosa Kujipanga ni Kuishi tu. We're living at a time where, yes, we are constrained, but we must plan for what is coming in the future. It is about finding a place where you can judge where you're at. Look at how much you're bringing in. Look at how much you're spending and what it is that you're budgeting on. And can you plan your life around spending money on things that would allow you to have that little bit extra? We have solutions that start as low as 2,500 in terms of savings, so that you can accumulate over time and then reach your goals. So it's not, when you talk about insurance, it's thought about as something that belongs to the wealthy, the high net worth individuals, or even for the older folk. In these Gen Z times, thinking about people maybe who have made money. But remember, we started by talking about the fact that the money we contribute compounds. Compounding of money is a concept of time. So that when you start earlier with smaller amounts, they achieve more over time as opposed to starting later. So do we have enough money to do the things we want to do in life? I doubt we'll ever get to a point where you say, I've made all I can make, I can do anything I want. It is always about stepping down and saying, okay, with what I have in my hands, what is it I can do? How much can I cut back on so that I have that extra shilling to put aside? Because these events we are talking about, education,
they will come.
They will come. And the shilling does not know your condition. The shilling will visit you, and it will require of you what it requires of you. So we must plan. We must plan. Some of us might be able to put aside larger amounts of money.
Yeah.
Some of us smaller. But there's always that amount that you can put aside. As you use other vehicles, consider also those that cover you for life insurance.
How is the money grown that you put in? Because obviously you're going to get some of it back later, and it's not going to be what you put in. How is the money grown? What is it? Where does it go?
So it goes into different investment vehicles. We have funds that we put this money in. We have instruments that we buy and invest in, so that over time we can grow the money. And we have a track record. I mean, Jubilee has been in existence for 87 years, and we've proven to have that track record of being able to put money where it can give you a good return. And that's the power of the economies of scale in terms of money and the funds that we put this money in. Without going into too much details, again, we said let's stay from jargon. It's about putting all the money together and putting it in investment vehicles that will give us a multiplied sum that can then pay out what it is that we promised you that you'd get by the contract that we've exchanged.
So financial freedom for a lot of people means that you don't have to worry about where the next coin is going to come from for you to do the next thing that you need to do. So essentially, if you're putting some money away, so you don't have to worry about education in the future. You don't have to worry about this in the future. Is this available Is it possible for everybody to take out insurance? Everybody who has any kind of income.
It is, and a question has been asked in our industry on whether we have full inclusion when it comes to insurance. And again, the myth that it is only for the wealthy is born out of the fact that people believe that there isn't anything there for us. I believe there's something for everyone, and we are working as an organization, as a company, to really build out solutions that address all segments of the society. And depending on where you are in terms of your life progress, our aspirations will change. It could be that my aspiration right now is my child's education, irrespective of what my social status is.
Yeah.
But then as I grow and as I make more money, and that is sorted, it moves on to something else. Maybe things that I want to build, businesses that I want to build, risks associated with the businesses are put in place and stuff. So we believe that there is something for everyone. Everyone should consider saving, and as an organization, we're building those solutions out so that whoever comes to us, we can walk this journey with them through life.
You talk about financial freedom, then you need to talk about financial literacy, right? Because it's almost like every time somebody comes to tell you about money, especially about your money, you get a certain feeling. Number one, this person thinks I have money. Number two, this person wants my money. And you get that feeling of these are just those people who they just want to take away from me. I mean, you too, everything else that I'm having to spend on, you are also coming to tell me about money, and it's not money that you're bringing, it's money that you want from me, right? And so that conversation is first blocked at that point. And the relationship with money is having a role to play here. Because how do you view money? What is your relationship with money? What do you think about money for today, money for tomorrow? Those things we all learned in school, compound interest. But it was theory. Just compounding, so you put money today, is what you do for. Is there a role that the insurance sector has to play in ensuring that there is better understanding of money and then now better understanding of insurance? And do you think that your industry is doing anything about it?
Is there a role? Yes, that it must play. Is the industry doing anything? We're doing a lot. The different organizations, the regulator, and the Association of Kenya Insurance, and all these other bodies that bring together people who play in this industry. And it goes back way, way far. If I would ask you to think about when you first ran into a money discussion for yourself, depending on how old you are, most likely way later in your life than you ought to have.
Yep.
And questions have been asked about whether we have financial literacy infused in our curriculum, and the answer is no. We have commerce, we have business studies, talking about primary school and high school. But if you look at other developed countries and such, you'll see that there's a very deliberate attempt to introduce financial literacy from when you're young. And people grow into the culture of having a bank account, of saving, of looking for investment opportunities, of looking for insurance, because insurance is quite available and part of their culture. So as an industry, it's something that we're taking seriously. Speaking for Jubilee Life, we have even taken it further, aside from giving financial clinics when we go into organizations, like we would if we were to come and meet your staff here. We have something called the Live Free Art Competition. So in Jubilee Life and Jubilee as a whole, we are talking about there is living, and then there is living free. And what we do through the art competition for all the way to grade 4 in primary school is we go in with a theme and provide financial literacy through the things they can do with their pencils and their brush, talking about themes that we come out about jubilation, about living free and enjoying life. And in those moments, we are able to pass on information about how money works, what you can do with money, how insurance works, and how insurance fits into the management of money. We also have been involved in the Kenya Music Festival. Incidentally, I was a soloist in primary school and high school. So traditional dances and pieces. I had the privilege of singing out to teachers in Nakuru when they were launching it earlier this year. And we used the music festivals to have pieces composed and spoken word that then pass information to people about what it is insurance is, what it is saving is, what it is financial literacy is. Do we have more to do? A lot more. Because again, like I said, it's more of we don't have that in our psyche as a country, based on our education system, based on our cultures as well, how we grow up, based on our socialization. It is something we need to develop, but we're pushing that agenda. It is a necessity. We either do it or we find ourselves in very difficult situations.
Sorry, can we go on to a break?
No.
Oh, we had a break, huh? Oh, wonderful. I want to throw you a curveball here. What percentage of Kenyans would you say are insured currently? I'm sure you know the statistics.
So we talk about insurance penetration.
Yes.
That's where we normally would start.
Yes.
The measurement of the GWP, how much premiums are collected vis-a-vis the per capita. And right now it plays somewhere around 2.7. Global average 7, South Africa 10%. That number has been calculated over time because you'll start with how many people are in the earning bracket, how many people are able to afford, and things like that. We are at a very low percentage. I would call it, in terms of the whole population, possibly, depending on what insurance you're talking about. I'm talking about health, general.
I'm talking about insurance generally.
Very low, very low. I'd call it out at maybe 2 million, 3 million out of the whole population.
I asked the question because you mentioned that a lot of effort has been made to infuse this literacy and the benefit. I say this from this perspective. There are very, very few products that anybody can consider as wonderful as an insurance cover. Very few. But as Eric put it, in the absence of the literacy around this particular subject matter, it is not very useful, is it? And you also touched on something, excuse me, very fundamental regarding our education system and how it is. It's not something that is part and parcel of how we grow and develop and interact with just the very concept of money and what to do with it. Now, but what it also tells me is that it is really good news, what you just said. Because let's make it 3%, just so that we round it off nicely. So we're saying that 79% is still out there waiting.
3%. 97%.
97%.
Yes, waiting.
You said 79, okay.
I said 79?
Yeah.
Is that what I said or what you heard?
You reversed it. Okay, it's okay. So 97%.
No, you people. 97% is still out there waiting. Now, if the statistics you mentioned are from around actually 2022, if you bring it to the present and you look into the future, the industry can really grow. The industry can be infinitely bigger than it actually is, simply because of what we've just said. What does the industry plan to do to ensure that that actually works for them? Because what you're staring at is a resource of profound significance. Yes.
We are grappling with something that must be solved, and this is how I'm going to answer your question. When we discuss innovation, that's a big word right now in our industry, innovation, and it can be overused. When you talk about innovation, a concept that really we must and we are looking at is what is called based on human-centered design thinking. So we are specialists. We are good at what we do. We know how to make insurance work. We know how to collect and invest and pay back. Claims get paid. But the question is, our bouquet of products, does it respond to the needs that are out there? And the conversation has changed from, we have done business a certain way traditionally. what does that other way, alternative way of doing business look like? And I'll give you an example of something that's really, really a buzz in the industry right now. So, of course, based out of what we've gone through as a country, talking about the Gen Z generation. So maybe for maybe the millennials to an extent, maybe the Gen X's, maybe the baby boomers and before, insurance made sense for what it was. We really align with what it is that we're told. We follow the rules. We do what it is we're told, and insurance works. Therefore, I take it up. But for the younger generations, they're asking themselves, okay, so like you asked before, why do I need to insure myself against death? I will die anyway. So we're asking ourselves questions around, and to speak to your question on what potential lies therein. What is it that people need, and how is it that we can supply it? We have the know-how, the math and the science and the processes, but we have to spend a lot of time, and we are spending a lot of time to ask ourselves, what is it that they need? I was reading a piece the other day on the fact that a lot of us who are from an older generation would be thinking about acquiring pieces of land and bequeathing them to our children. And they were very stunning, the article, to say they don't care for land. There'll come a time when you're handing pieces, we call them in and here is a title for you, and they're thinking, I don't need this. So their needs are very different. So what is that need that they have, and how can we address it? What are some of the things that we're seeing from the millennials coming down, that they're very conscious about social change? They're very conscious about where you invest your money. Are you investing it in green investment vehicles? They're very conscious about how you do business. Are you fair in the way you do your business? And we are spending time to find what their experience is. So moving away from product, and this is what I sell, would you like to buy, to what are the things that concern you? What makes your life tick? If I put you in the middle of the room, what are the things that are tied into your life, and what are the needs around that? So it's a quite complex question you ask, and we must crack it.
It is complex, but let me ask another question. This group of citizens whom you speak of, the younger ones, and who anecdotally you mentioned don't have an interest in land, what are the influences in their lives? Or what are the factors that influence their mind and their thinking, and what occupies their mind, and in so doing help formulate the choices they make in terms of what it is they consider wealth to be? Everything that seems contrary to what an older generation thought. What is it that influences them? Because whatever influences them, clearly, those who are older and currently have those resources don't understand it, haven't bothered. And so the influence they thought they would contribute towards these lives has been taken away from them by somebody else, clearly.
I'll speak from a personal experience. So those people are in my house.
The aliens have visited you.
You're living it.
I'm living it. So I have a beautiful daughter and 5 sons. And my oldest son is your typical Gen Z. And the sort of conversations we have shock me. He asks me things I would never, ever dare ask my father.
For example?
For example, we'll have a discussion and he'll say, this is how I think this thing should go. And I don't think we need to do this in this house just because you say we should do it.
And this house is your house, isn't it? The shareholder speaking.
I remember once during COVID, and COVID was special. We were all lumped together in the house for long. He was younger then, but I remember him once just having an outburst in the sitting room and saying, "Dad," and he knows I talk about this a lot, so if he's listening, he says, "Dad, you're a slave driver."
No, boss.
How can it be that in this house we must follow your rules? We need to discuss. And I remember losing it and thinking very many things. But to your question, you're dealing with it's a black box we are beginning to break insurance industry, banking, the guys who were here before. We've had discussions with learning institutions. The other day we launched a partnership with Strathmore University, and we were talking about how to break that black box of the Gen Z. But some of the stuff that's coming out when you look at papers that have been done as such is that the one thing that is important to them is the exact thing we're talking about today: freedom. Freedom. And when you think about the Gen Z, the first thought that comes to your mind is anti-establishment.
Bas.
But think about it. Is it anti-establishment, or is it, could I have my space to express myself within the establishment? So that's something that we must crack. So when you talk about what is it that pushes them, I've done a paper before where I was discussing what the millennials think about insurance, and I found out that they use a lot of peer referencing. They will check out what people are buying, and then they'll come and check. They want to know where you're putting your money. They want to know that their money makes a difference. So aside from the returns you're giving me, what else is your money doing for you? So they want to see what is the company involved in the society. Same thing with Gen Zs. Do we know exactly where they're coming from and what they want? We continue to discover. But from my experience in my house, it's about discussion. It's about space. It's about understanding. Interesting enough, they want to understand. My people in my house will sit me down and say, how does this work? How does insurance work? Serendipity, my son is studying actuarial science, so they're going into insurance spaces there. And we sit down and discuss insurance. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, we're talking about some very hard concepts and technical terms, but they want to understand things. So as we think about insurance as an industry, we must bring them to the table and think, what is it that matters to them? Or what is the interest? So your interest was land. Your interest was a car. Your interest is a good life with a heavy retirement package that will buffer you for the later years. That might not be their interest, and actually is not. Their interest is now, their interest is, how do you make my life and my experience better?
Why do we think they're anti-establishment?
It's a question I'm asking. Why do we think they're anti-establishment?
I consider for a second, what if they are pro-engineering or pro a newly engineered establishment?
So they're anti.
No,
No.
not necessarily.
They're anti this one. They want to create their own.
Not necessarily. If I want to improve something, doesn't mean I'm against it. I'm actually using the it and improving it.
They're not improving it. These guys want to disrupt and build their own.
But change is always disruptive. It doesn't matter how small it is. It's always disruptive.
Yeah.
And
Not always
could I
improving.
offer,
Yes.
there's an underlying factor in what you've just said. Which generation has the establishment?
Yeah.
It's an intergenerational question.
Yeah.
Exactly. And which generation has never
Attempted to.
move away from what has been the norm? Which one?
Yeah. We're all anti-establishment. Because establishment is status quo. And you do not want status quo. You want to change things.
We are pro-change. Some milder, some louder, some more revolutionary, but we are all pro-change.
Yes.
Yes.
And anti-status quo.
No. We are a complex mix because there are some issues we prefer as we see them. And we all do. And every generation has it. There are things that they consider to be a good constant for them. Now, how then do you make something like the insurance industry relevant in an era where information is available at your fingertips? How do you take advantage of this communication age? How do you take advantage of it? Because that's really at the heart of it. The common denominator with the generation we speak of is the communication age and how they have melded into it. And we've been left behind. Because our thinking is still occupied by an age where all this was strange and new. For them, there's nothing strange and new. They're right into it, and it's part of their everyday life.
How can insurance, Kanyingi, be part of what it is saying, an everyday life for everybody, right? So it's not just somebody who has a certain level of income. It's not even for somebody who has an income, a regular income. It's basically somebody who's alive, is, as they're thinking of everything else, they also have some insurance planning in their head. How can that be made possible?
So Maya Angelou says, people do not remember what you said, but how you made them feel. As an industry and as different companies, we must find that emotive point of contact with each of these segments at their level and address it with appropriate solutions. So sitting here as Jubilee Life, we have solutions for the high net worth. There's a product we launched the other day called FIDA Elite. That's quite small on life insurance, and most of the premium goes into investing in high-yielding investment vehicles. It's very attractive to the high net worth. But we still must think about the middle class, the lower down into the lower parts of the pyramid, to say, can we find that which concerns their life? You know, it might be that sitting here, our thought is not where will our next meal come from. But we know there's lots of people who are sitting wherever they're sitting thinking, I didn't have a meal last night, and maybe I won't have another one shortly. So it's about connecting with them at their level and identifying what their need is. As an insurance industry, allow me to say this, we there's been the thought over time that we are merchants, especially those of us who come from the KYM side, the salespeople, that we come and put a bouquet of products in front of you and you have to take one of those. We've moved to needs analysis, where we sit down with you, understand where you are. Remember, we talked about a continuum in terms of life. What stage of life are you in? What's your earning like? What are your aspirations? And how can we line up all these parameters and give you something that works for you? Because you need to protect yourself for eventualities. So we it's an ongoing conversation, but we must be very deliberate in how we identify what segment of society are we talking about, what are their dreams and aspirations, what are their concerns, and how can we use our expertise to address those concerns.
So next time somebody from Jubilee calls you and tells you, no, so-and-so from Jubilee or knocks at your door, what should you ask them? What should I ask them?
If they knock at your door, invite them in. Have a discussion. It's about a discussion about life. So what should you ask them? They most likely will be the ones asking you questions. They came to knock at your door, they had your number, or they know you, they've come in and they say, let's have a conversation. They'll be asking, what are your aspirations? That's where we start. Where are you at? What are you doing? And it could be that even as they knock at your door, you already have another plan and another plan. It will be a discussion of, are you insured enough? Or is there space for us to give you a solution that works for you? As a prospect or a client who's being visited by an insurance financial advisor, because that's what we call ourselves, financial advisor, it will be to encourage a conversation. This is who I am. This is where I see myself going with the money that I have. How is it that you can help me see this better? Could you walk this journey with me? And that's where the solutions come out. Solutions do not come out as a prerequisite. They come out as a result
So
of
they'll
the
not.
conversation.
They should not come to me and give me a bouquet immediately. They should be coming to ask that we actually sit down and talk about my goals, my aspirations, where I'm at right now.
Correct.
Okay. So I'll tell them, sit down.
Download.
Shika kikombe ya chai. Karibu. Continue with the conversation.
Kanyingi, thank you very much for joining us today. Kanyingi Kagucia is the Chief Distribution Officer at Jubilee Life Insurance, and he has answered the question, yes, life insurance can be a tool for financial freedom. Insurance can be a tool for financial freedom. All you need to do is listen to them and just get to understand insurance a bit more.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.